I'm a Medium, Ask Me How was not filmed in front of a live studio audience. We best friends, but we love talking about dead people. We're gonna laugh and we'll cry. Well, Dana's gonna cry a little bit.
We got love bombs all over the place. And let's not act like Matt isn't gonna cry a little bit. But we're also gonna cuss. So if that doesn't resonate, turn the fuck around.
Yeah, we're gonna drop some fuck bombs.
But we also want to share our experiences and knowledge about mediumship.
So sit down, get comfortable, and remember,
you are the light of 100,000 suns. You are the light.
And enjoy.
I'm a medium, so ask me how.
Dana Willey.
Matthew Tao.
Oh my God, I missed you so much. It feels like it's been weeks, but it's actually been hours.
It's been minutes.
It's been 20 minutes since my last Dana fix.
Our spouses are so annoyed by each other.
He just wants me to go to a secret trip so bad. He's like, please just leave.
Yeah, Mr. Dana's like, how many more days till I don't have to hear about secret trip anymore?
Yeah, it's not a secret anymore. By the time you hear this, it ain't a secret.
Oh, wait, I'm trying to think. Oh, this will be released just a few days before secret trip.
Oh, okay, it's still a secret. Okay, shh.
But yeah.
Are you telling anybody? Well, Dana, I had such a adventurous week on TikTok.
I feel like every week is an adventurous week on TikTok, if I'm honest.
Yeah, same medium channel, same other different drama. But it brought up some good points that I really wanted to talk about with our listeners, because it's like what I like to refer to as mediumship red flag, green flag. Mm-hmm. And like leading our audience and other people that are interested in mediumship to what's going to help them, like how can they find a really great medium? What is it that we look for in mediums that will help them make like a little bit more comfortable, and what they should go into feeling like supported and validated. Mm-hmm. So let's do some red flag, green flag. How are you feeling about that?
I love it. I love it because I always say, like, I get readings. Just because I'm a medium doesn't mean I don't like to get readings. And I love being discerning about who you get your readings from. So I think having a discerning eye and always being aware before you buyer beware, and vetting a reader. It's funny that we're having this conversation today because I was watching last night as somebody who called themselves a medium. And I always give people the benefit of the doubt. I want you all to know I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I cheer anybody on. If I scroll into somebody's live and they call themselves a medium and they're about to do a mediumship reading, I am cheering you on because I am team spirit. And I'm like, okay, this is somebody I've never seen before. She's like doing her thing. She had a pretty decent number of people in the room. So I'm like, oh, cool. Like maybe I'm stumbling on somebody that's pretty well established. Like, come on, you got this. Come on. And it was a paid reading. And I was like, okay. And she's like, okay, I'm ready to go. And she's like, I need the first name and at least the last initial of the person who passed and how long it's been since they passed. And I was like, oh, man. So red flag number one. Red flag number one. And then, or actually two red flags, the name, and then how long has it been since they passed? That's two. Actually, there's three huge pieces of evidence that just got taken away just in the first few moments. There's two that could have been initials, that could have been a time of passing. That's like three huge pieces of evidence gone. You can't get those back. Then she's like, okay, all right, sweet Scott, we'll just call the guy Scott that she was pulling forward. What was his relationship to you? And I was like, no. 4.
Who's the medium?
4 pieces of information. Mwah-ah-ah. I feel like I'm the count on Sesame Street. Like, that's 4 mwah-ah-ah pieces of information lost.
1 red flag. 2 red flag.
Mwah-ah-ah.
But who's the medium at that point? Like, what were you working? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Our job as mediums for the green flag, Dana, I'm green flagging this right now, is we should be the one giving you the information. Like, if there anything, a relationship is enough. Especially because I think it's called cold reading, right? When you're asking people for information.
I mean, that was just like one, at the most one thing. And I do not like names. No. And I will tell you why. Because I don't want to just like tell you guys like, I don't like names and then like leave you with this. Our point, Matt and I's point always for this podcast is to educate. And the reason I don't like names is because it can force us to go in psychically. Yeah. Especially, so Matt and I also train. We're not proficient in cold cases or anything. It's something that he and I are both working diligently on increasing, being better at, and things like that. And we have worked a little bit of them, but it's not our specialty. But names will make you go in more psychically than mediumistically. Yeah. So that is why names are never a great thing to give a medium, because that's going to make us go more psychic than mediumistically. A relationship will allow us to feel into what it feels like for that relationship for you, whereas names will make us go psychic more often than not. So that is why names are typically a no-no for me.
Yeah, I don't want anything.
And I don't want anything either. Yeah.
I the only time I will ask for anything is if I can't establish the connection of who you want to hear from, not who's coming forward, like a spirit-led type situation where it's like whoever shows up to the party shows up. But sometimes it's like somebody will show up that you were expecting to hear from and that you didn't want to hear from, but I'm willing to try, so I just need a relationship. That's it. And my job is to give you everything else after that, right? And in a yes, no, or I don't know format, it works best for me because I like to keep it clean. I like a clean workspace when I'm working with spirit, because I don't want there to be a shadow of a doubt that I'm not doing my job. I don't want it to be a shadow of a doubt that I'm not legitimate, right? Because our integrity as mediums is all we have. Our honesty as mediums are all we have. So like a green flag is to look for somebody that does not want anything from you or just wants a relationship, because that's really good. I don't even need to know your name. Yeah. Yeah, like, so if you book with me and you're like, I'm Little Debbie from East Cupcake, Illinois, I'm like, great, Little Debbie, let's do this reading. Who you want to hear from? I want to hear from Hostess. Great, awesome, we're here. That's all I want to know, right? So, like, don't feed the medium. Don't feed the medium. If a medium asks you, like, hey, what's their birth date? What's their social? What's their FICO score? You just get up and go.
You gotta run. Honestly, it was like before anything had even started. And then, do you want 5 red flags?
Yeah, 5 red flag.
Tarot cards start flying out. And I was like, when is the mediumship starting? Excuse me, sir, I was promised mediumship. I was so upset. And honestly, y'all, like when I say that I'm always cheering for the spirit world and I'm always cheering for fellow mediums out there, I really am. But guys, this is where discernment comes in and where we really, Matt and I really hope to empower you guys. You do not have to give anybody any information. No. If you are paying for a reading and you've already paid, you say, I'm not willing to give forward that information. And if they're like, well, this is the information I need to give you the reading, then you say, I would like my money back.
Can I be a shady lady for like 1 sec?
I feel like I'm being pretty shady, so go for it.
Okay, so there is a popular medium that we both know who shall be remain
We know
nameless,
of.
who who asked for a complete survey. You don't need that. You don't need that. Don't feel I'm precautionary whale here. Do not send any surveys out. There should be no intake forms for a mediumship reading. This is not going to the dentist. You don't need to put anything other than your name, if that. So just to protect your information, don't give them anything. Please don't.
Huge red flag. Huge red flag. I know for you and for me, when you sign up to for a private reading with one of us, we need your name, so we know what to call you. But honestly, you could put whatever. You could put Cookie Monster. I'm calling in Sesame Street on this episode. I don't know, but you could put Cookie Monster. Honestly, I do not care what you put in as your name. It's just so I have something to call you in my books, so I can be like, oh, Cookie Monster signed up for a reading on November 12th. Like, that's just so I know Cookie Monster has that time. I need your email address so I know where to send the Zoom link. I need a phone number in case you put in your email address wrong, because that happens all the time. So that is all I need. I don't have a place for you to put any comments, because people will put, I used to have a place for comments. And then I took it out because people would be like, I hope to blah, 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 blah. And they'd start giving me information. I don't have a place for comments. I don't have a place for anything. There are readers out there who will ask you for names of your loved ones. They will ask you for pictures of your loved ones. They will ask for all kinds of, like Matthew said, like a full survey, like you're going to the frickin' dentist. You do not have to fill anything like that out. That is a red flag. Run.
Yep.
Google is amazing. There's this internet thing, guys, that people can like Google you. Run away. Don't give people your information.
We want that ungoogleable information. I got red flag number 2.
Give it.
Okay. Red flag number 2 is a medium that shares your entire reading publicly without your knowledge or consent. That is a violation of your information. I hold, and a green flag, I'm going to say the green flag is somebody that holds, what I look for is somebody that holds your reading sacred. Because we're not just dealing with your mental health. We're not just dealing with your physical health. Your spiritual health is just as important, and it should be held confidential. Like, that person should not go on an entire live and give you start to finish what the reading was, because that is just them showing off their ego to try to capitalize on your reading because it was phenomenal, and then in turn try to get more readings out of it. Like, that's not okay. I will post, my green flag is I will post readings that I've done on TikTok live, because at that point it's consensual, and 76 people or 230 or 300 people have witnessed me read you, and it's not private. If it gets into somewhere that's not comfortable, or if it's an open case, or if it's something that I need to take offline, I will say, email me, we're going to go private on this, because I don't want your dirty laundry out in the ether, especially if it's something traumatic, if it's a child. I do not like reading children on TikTok. I do not because that is the hardest motherfucking loss that you possibly ever could have, is outliving your children.
Yeah.
Or a spouse that would have, like, somebody young is usually really traumatic. I would never, ever, 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 ever want to give specific details out to the general public when it's somebody's grief, because I care about your mental health.
Yeah.
So a really good green flag is somebody that's like, your readings are confidential with me. Other than that, without your permission, may I use this? And they ask you, and they preface in whatever documentation that they're going to put out there, hey, I'm just putting this out there that gave permission from the reader and the consent. Enjoy this reading. I hope it moves you with the power of spirit. On to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. And there should be an agreement too, if it gets to a point where you're like, I gave you consent, but it's too much and I don't want it out there anymore, that you reach out to the reader and say, I'd like you to take it down, and they take it down. Because I have heard of other people that they've asked them to take it down and they won't take it down.
That's somebody's loved one.
That's somebody's life.
bad.
We have to understand that, like, our loved ones are fine. Our loved ones are on the other side and they are fine. We're the ones here struggling and processing and all of that. We don't do this. Green flag is a reader that doesn't do this for clout, that doesn't do this for pats on the back, for likes, for follows, for any of that, for money even. I mean, even though you and I are professional and we do this for money, you know, we charge. That's not why we do this.
You're just paying for my time.
And if we're like Matthew, if we're honest, we do far more free readings than we do paid readings.
Yeah, we do, because mediumship is really an act of service. It's an act of service of others.
Yeah.
It's not something to build. I'm not saying the people that have built it off of fame, but there's a difference between doing it for the right reasons and pushing forward the mediumship community, and doing things to push yourself forward with no consideration of anybody else. I said it, Dana Willey.
Did it feel good to say it?
I did. It really did. It's freeing, because I want people to know that the power of the spirit world is a phenomenal thing, and that it needs to be shared as much as possible to prove that we continue on. It's healing. It makes a lot of people not be afraid of death. It makes people realize that even though their loved one might have had a passing that might have been tragic, that they're okay. And I get to see the most beautiful things when somebody ends up walking out of a reading knowing that their loved one is okay. If it's been tragic, that it just feels lighter. Like they walk out being like, that's 120 pounds off my shoulders, and they just walk out of my care a little bit higher, and their head's a little higher, and they have a little bit more hope. And it's just disempowering to watch the opposite of that.
Yeah. It's really hard. And I just want to say for a second, I feel like we always have to be on the defensive on some level. And I feel that, we're always defending what we do, and we're always kind of looked at as charlatans or other things. And we always are like proving that we're legit. Right. And it's a big reason that you and I try to work in the cleanest workspace that we can with yes, no, I don't knows. And we don't want a whole lot of information, because we never want you walking away with like, yeah, but they could have known that, or I said this, and so they could have fed into this. And we just want you walking away knowing with as much certainty as you possibly can that we did in fact bring forward your loved one. But there's just so much out there like constantly fighting against that. And there are so many wonderful readers out there. And I don't want what sucks is there's some bad apples in the bunch that really put a pall on the amazing readers out there. So I want to take the focus off of the bad apples for a second and really put the focus on the good ones. And what are the green flags? Like, what are the things that like you go that when you fall on a reader and you're like, yep, I know that one's legit. I know that they're ethical. I know this. Like, what are some of the green flags for you?
Somebody that makes somebody feel comfortable at first, right? That takes the time to get to know them on a very limited level, right? I'm not going to ask you anything, but like, how was your day? How you feeling today? You feel good? You ready to do this? Somebody that opens up their readings with some sort of like encouragement. Like I usually do a little prayer. I know you do. I always like that. I just think it adds a little bit of like holding space for the spirit world. I really like that when they're like, hey, spirit, thanks for coming together. Somebody that honors what they do, and that will have like a legitimate website, and they only book through their website. I love that. I mean, there are other ways to do it. If you don't have a website, we get it. You're a working medium. But somebody that also takes care of their client and says, hey, if I can't connect, are you okay with option A, B, and C? Because usually, like, I know for myself, I'll usually say to my client, hey, like, mediumship isn't a game of telephone. If I don't get who you want, we can reschedule for another day. I can give you a referral, or we can refund you, whatever it is. And if there's any time that you just don't feel like we're connecting, I would love for you to let me know, because we're just going to end up saving the time for you and for me. But your reading, that you get a reading you need and deserve, not the reading that I'm going to force on you. So I think that's a really like passionate, open, transparent person that's going to know that, like, I'm not just doing this for the money, I'm doing this for the healing of you. So somebody that's like healing, team healing. What about for you?
Those are all amazing ones, and I agree with all of them. Some of the things that I pay attention to is how they handle their yeses. So when people get like really amazing evidence come through, do they pat themselves on the back big time? Because that can show through, like, are they overly self-important? Like, where's their ego at? But conversely, I also pay attention to how they handle their no's, because every medium is going to get their no's. So how well do they handle their yeses and their no's? Like, I'd like to see a well-balanced medium where they don't like over celebrate the yeses and they don't push their no's on somebody. I like to see I like to see some variation in their readings. Like, I don't like to just book somebody off of one reading, like see them read once and be like, I have to book them. I like to see them read multiple times, and see like a little variety in their readings. Because like if they have I've seen a reader where like they have a shtick, and like every single reading they do is like a grandpa that lived on a farm in the South, you know, and it's like,
do you want some sleepy time tea?
Again, is this the same grandpa? So I think seeing a reader read multiple times, see that they're bringing forward a variation of different types of evidence, and that they're successful in doing that. And I don't ever expect a reader to be 100% accurate, because I don't think that that's doable. But how do they work through that? How do they handle the client? The other big thing that I always pay attention to is, are they checking in with their client or their sitter throughout? Are they going into story time, or are they like checking in through pieces of evidence to make sure that the client is taking it? When there is difficult pieces of evidence that they are putting forward, are you doing okay? Making sure that are they a reader with resources in case that there is some heavier stuff to put forward? I have a big laundry list. I'm a picky reader.
No, that's okay, because I'm uppity. I'm an uppity person when it comes to my mediumship, so I get it. There's one thing that I might be a little controversial that I look for, if I'm honest, and that would be around education. Not saying naturally born mediums don't have my heart, because trust me, we're all naturally born, but I love somebody who can speak to what they've done to work on themselves, because it just makes me feel like they take it a little bit more seriously, and they take my care a little bit more seriously, because they spent money, time, and effort on like crafting their craft, honing their craft. I really look for that. And if you can't answer that question and you get defensive when I ask you that question, that's no different than asking a doctor where they developed, or a dentist or a lawyer, because they're dealing with things that could cause harm to people. And I think people don't realize how much harm you can actually do as a medium.
Yeah. I guess conversely, I would say on that subject, like, I don't think it's necessarily, I think there can be some classism in that I'm gonna be a little sassy on this. Like, I think that there can be some like, well, I studied under so-and-so and I went to this place and I think it's also important, because there are some amazing schools and teachers out there that I definitely support and all of that. But I think that also it's important on how they react to that question, number one. But number two, where is the ego in that? I hate seeing a medium like, well, I didn't need that, or I'm already done. I like a medium that's saying I'm always learning, I'm always growing. That's like one thing that I always look for.
Yeah.
I like hearing that a well-rounded medium, if you will. Like I took a little from them, I took a little from them, I took a little from them. I'm less interested in hearing like I learned from this person and this person and this person and this person. I mean, there are some good names out there, but I want to learn more about your journey than about it's like sometimes I feel like I went to Harvard and then I studied at Yale.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be very classist in the mediumship world, and I think that can get a little uppity.
But I think this is my point. If you're even self-taught, the fact that you can speak to it. I'm self-taught. I practiced on multiple people for a couple of years. I can give you some referrals. I would love to hold space for that. So there is ways to impress me on your education without having to take classes or mentor under somebody. It's just being able to speak to what you're doing, how long you've been doing it for, what you're working on. I'd love to know what you're working on. Hey, what are you like currently trying to develop on yourself?
Yeah.
Right? That's just a question. I'm interviewing you because I'm giving you $100 and whatever dollars for 30 minutes or $30 for a half an hour, whatever you're charging.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a service and I need to know I'm being protected.
Yeah.
And you need to know that you know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because that is my ultimate goal. I need to know I'm safe. I'm safe.
I guess my point in saying all of that is you can take classes from all of these like fancy names, and a lot of people, and we've seen them, and I'm not gonna be too shady of a lady, but there are some people that said, oh, I took classes from XYZ people, and that's all they did is they took that class and they did nothing with it after they took the class. They just have the fancy certificate saying I took a class under XYZ person, and they did nothing with it. Yeah. And so I don't necessarily get real excited by hearing that somebody took or studied under a certain person. I'm more interested in like, well, what did you do with it? Like, how are you continuing to develop? But I do think talking about how your development story, how did you take this? Both you and I understand, like, we're not so impressed by like the natural born medium story because we believe that we're all naturally born. But talking about development and all of that is important because we're always developing, we're always growing. Like, for me right now, because I want to talk about it. What are you actively working on right now, Matt, in your mediumship development?
Clear nose and clear taste. You said it something on one of our podcasts, but I'm working on those because I really feel like I need to be a little bit more well-rounded, and I'm actively practicing it. And this is how I'm going to practice it in your reading today, and just letting them know it's like if I get a no, it's cool. It's fine. It is what it is. Yeah. I wouldn't really practice in an actual thing. I'd go to development circle. Yeah. But I'm actively working on that. What about for you?
I'm actively working on deepening my evidence and really like going a step deeper into just, instead of just giving a thing, like going in a little bit deeper with it. Yeah. Like, there's vulnerability in that, but it's been going well. But it's, and also deepening my clairvoyance. Yeah. So, it's stuff that we're always, and then there's also the natural unfoldment that spirit does, like, and that's cute, but we're going to actually work on this for you right now too. But I think always being able to talk about this, that we're always ongoing and developing. And I think checking in with your medium and saying like, is there a humbleness? Is there something about them like saying, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm continuing to develop and grow with. But if you kind of get somebody that's like, I'm holier than thou, I've got this shit all figured out. That doesn't for me. That it maybe would resonate for you or somebody else out there. Nope. It doesn't resonate for me.
That's my next green flag. It's somebody that's humble. I love a good a humility into that person that, you know, and it's humility in the way that they deliver evidence. It's humility around compassion for and empathy for others. It's their courage and transparency that I find very humbling about being a medium, because this work can give you a power trip like nobody's business. Like, you are in Power Town by the time you take that trip. And I like somebody that just says, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm human. I make mistakes. And if I'm not going to get this right, cool, sweet, awesome. But I'm only aiming for 80%. I guess it's a standard I put for myself that I really look in for others, because I just know that we are human and we make mistakes. And you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier about like the nose, right? You know, with a swinging ego of too much ego, I've seen readers shove things on people and say, no, like, you need somebody in August because I got August. No, think broader. Think about your mailman's birthday. I have somebody in August and you need to take that, rather than being like, hey, take that with you, and if it resonates for you later on, cool, sweet, because psychic amnesia is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Well, and I always like, how many people's birthdays do you remember, really? I mean, let's just be honest. And here's the other thing. Are they kind? Because this is red flag, green flag, however we want to talk about this. I've seen a lot of people being yelled at recently, and I don't like it. I don't like the tone that a lot of readers have been taking with clients. And obviously you and I speak a lot to what we see on TikTok, because that's what we see a lot. But we've been seeing a lot of readers being like yelling at people recently. And it's very off-putting, whether it's people in the chat or whether it's the actual sitter or whatever. No. We have to remember that we are healers. And if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And if you can't have a correct tone, then you need to stop. And you need to readjust and deal with yourself and then come back. But we should not be yelling at people.
No.
But I wouldn't say it if it just happened once with one reader, but I'm seeing it happen numerous times. Yeah. And it's really disheartening. It happened last night. I was messaged last night, like, this person was just yelling at somebody, and they yelled at somebody and said that their loved one wasn't in heaven, and they yelled it at the sitter.
Oh, baby, no. Oh, Lordy, no.
Like, what? Why?
I need your medium card. I gotta rip that up.
And this is a pretty well-known, like, lots of followers. And it breaks my heart. We have to remember. And so first off, we're making, I think this episode is more for the person looking to get a reading out there. Yeah. But I know that a lot of developing mediums listen to our podcast. I want you, if you are a developing medium or medium that listens to this podcast, I want you to always think, how is the person that I am giving this reading to receiving the information I am giving? How is my tone of voice? How is my words being received by the person I am giving it to?
Ooh, can I add on to that?
Please.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Mediums, listen up. Okay, I had to just make sure this was on, so you know. Okay, you need to remember that a mediumship reading to the general public is very exciting. They're anticipating this. This is something that they'll always remember because you're talking to somebody, their loved one on the other side, and that's fucking amazing. They're going to remember everything you say. So when they go home after your care, 5 hours later, what are they thinking about your reading? Did you say anything that would jar them, that they're going to keep themselves up at night and being like, oh my God, little Jimmy's not in heaven? Incorrect, right? But I think we also need to remember that these people are in the worst fucking moment of their entire life. There is nothing worse in this world than losing a loved one. And then the desperation that this person is coming to you, wanting a reading to speak to their loved one that passed on the other side, that is the most important person in their life, because they're paying you a very comparable amount for you to do this for them, and for you to treat them like garbage. And it's just like another person. It was just another reading. No, that's another person getting a reading and a soul connection to the other side. That is what you're doing. It's not just another half an hour that you need to fill, because this is somebody's life. I'm getting real preachy, but this is somebody's life. This is somebody's loved one. This person that you're saying you're communicating with had a pulse, had a heartbeat, had kids, had a job, pooped, ate, loved, lost, was born somewhere. They had an entire life. And you need to respect the dead just as much as you respect the living. Because I'm telling you right now, when you mess up in somebody's reading, you can never get that back. And it only takes one reading to destroy your entire career. One. Especially if you record it and send it to them. Just throwing that out there. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Soapbox.
Well, and I know you said paid, but this also goes for free, because there's a lot of people that use social media platforms as a practice ground for development and whatever. And I want to give grace for that. And there's a lot of people that will say developing medium or whatever. It does not matter. I want you to be so far in your development before you start giving readings on any social platform. People are not paying attention necessarily to the fact that you're saying developing medium on the top. Yeah. They're just so invested and desperate for a reading that if you give an inkling of connection to their loved one, they're going to believe everything that you say. Yeah. And your words are so powerful. We have people's lives, their well-being in your hands.
And if you don't think they're desperate, if you're a medium sitting on a live, looking at the comment section, Dana, I got to be transparent. I get off lives because people are just that desperate to hear from their loved one. It is overwhelming. It breaks my heart. It makes me sad. I can't give every single person a reading. I'm only one person. And it breaks my heart that they're in that much pain where I'm like, I can't sit in front of that for very long, because it really kind of like brings me to in their space. Yeah. And I can't be in their space. I got to let them own their grief. I can't, but it is very tangible. It is very, very, very thick. And if you're not that person seeing those comments and being like, I need to talk to my dad, I need to talk to my mom, I need to talk to my son, I need to talk to my daughter, I need to talk to my aunt, you're clueless. You're just like, empathy needs to go into what you're doing. We are empathetic creatures as humans, and we need to put the human back into the mediumship part of it. You're not talking to spirits. You are talking to people. You are talking to people. I want to clarify that very clearly. Just because they don't have a body does not mean they're not a person. And so that's where we forget as mediums that we're talking to a person. We are not talking to this intangible entity that is not intelligent. It is very intelligent. They will give you all the information. Your job is just to deliver it as designed, with humanity at the core of what you're doing. Soapbox again. But really, when you look at it like from an aspect that you're speaking to another person, it starts to put you in the humility, right? Because you're like, hey, like that's the reason why I never go with like the method of interviewing, because I'm like, well, if I'm nervous to speak to this person, what is it? I know that the person on the other side isn't really nervous, but like, what information can I just treat them as if I already know them? Or I'm just getting to know a new friend. And I think that the spirit world really appreciates that, because I'm going through of being like, whatever's fucking possible in this moment is possible, because I'm just leaving the door open for this beautiful experience to speak to this person that I never got a chance to meet in life.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to treat that person on the other side with so much respect, because they finished the race. They know the secret to life. They know the how many stars are in the galaxy. They know everything. They have this knowing to them, but they are still who they are. And I'm going to respect the love that person has for the person that's sitting in front of me, because let me tell you, those motherfuckers on the other side made it possible for that person to sit in front of you. Spirit is very intelligent. They went, boop. That person in life did not make that happen all by themselves. The spirit world moved that person to watch you read on TikTok, to put them in front of you to get a reading. Think about that for a sec.
Yeah. Be responsible. So in full circle, what I would like to offer everybody, because I would like to switch this back just for a moment to
Free tacos?
Were you reading my mind? I was thinking of tacos.
Yeah, I was. Sorry.
That was really weird because I was like obsessing about tacos in my head.
I love you.
Love you. That was so weird.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry
to interrupt you.
you.
That was really weird. That was freaking weird. This is how you know your best friend's psychic or unpredictable.
You love you good crunchy burrito.
Either or. So I want to bring this back to the person seeking to get a reading. Your energy is precious. Don't let just anyone read you. Don't let just anyone tap into your beautiful energy and into your beautiful space. Be discerning. Vet your reader. Watch them do lots of readings. Go to their website. Look at their reviews. Word of mouth is an amazing place to get hey, I had an amazing reading from Matthew Tao. I highly recommend him. Whatever. Don't shy away from a reader that is pretty booked out. Like I see that happen a lot of times where like, oh man, I would love to get a reading from them, but they're booked out for a couple of months. If they're the reader for you and you resonate with them, book the reading. Time will pass very quickly. It'll be here before you know it. Book the reading with the person that you feel is right for you. I also get a lot of like, it costs money. It costs money to get a reading. Either it's worth it to you. If it's worth it to you, it's worth it to you. Don't judge people on what they charge. If it's too much money for you, then don't pay it.
Yeah.
But I also will say a lot of times you get what you pay for. If you have vetted the reader that is right for you. That's not to say that a reader that charges less is not worth it, or that isn't as good, or some people overcharge. But figure out what is in resonance with you. But I've seen people who are amazing readers and they're booked out and they get to charge what they charge, and it's okay. But I see people like, well, I would love a reading from them, but their prices are too high. Then don't pay it. It's fine. But just understand that good readers often come with a price tag, and they often are booked out.
And they know their worth. They know their worth. They know what their time is valuable. And this is maybe their only job, that they're paying their bills and supporting their kids and putting their cat through college.
And it takes energy. Let me just say this. It takes a lot of energy and time, and we going full circle back to that development piece. If you vetted the proper medium that has spent years developing and is constantly developing, that hasn't just like, oh, I'm here, I've arrived, and is constantly still working and working diligently every day to be the best medium that they can, they're worth the price. Also check out what is their policy. My policy is the same as Matt's. If I'm not making connection, I'm going to offer a referral to you. I'm going to offer you a refund or a reschedule. But find out what their policy is. Are you screwed? What is it? But figure out what their policy is if they're unable to make a connection for you. A good reader is going to have a policy similar to Matt. It may not be the same as Matt and I's, but it should be something similar to that. A good reader is going to have a policy like that.
Exactly.
What are their payments? Be careful about Cash Apps or paying somebody with PayPal friends and family. You are not protected in those purchases. If you pay somebody with PayPal business or with a credit card, those purchases are protected, because it's if a service is not rendered, you can go back and fight those charges. So be buyer beware. You should purchase this like you would anything else. Just don't make an impulse purchase on something like this. I'm not And I also want to say, like, nobody has to have a mediumship reading. This should be something that you vet and you do with good process.
Yeah. You don't get in the first Toyota Corolla you get in and buy it, right? You test drive it, you shop around, you try to find the best price, but really you got to find the best reader for you. And I may not click with you and Dana may not click with you, but somebody else will. So we want you to take your time, do it right. You will be so much better for it, and you will get the reading that you deserve and not that you didn't ask for. So you deserve an amazing experience. And
absolutely.
With that, Dana,
we'll leave you with
great
that.
Episode.
Yes, we love you all. You are the light of 100,000 stars, or Lowe's.
Lowe's light aisles.
Light aisles. Right?
You were the light of 100,000 McDonald's parking lots. We love you all. You're in our hearts. Do something nice for everybody. And bye, everybody.
We love you. Bye.
Mwah, mwah. Logan from IT, you're the boss.